Dear Venerable Sister and Brothers, Dhamma friends, today also we are going to take time for the day's Dhamma talk. May everyone settle down for the talk and give the consent with 3 times. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Namo tasse bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhasse. Namo tasse bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhasse. Namo tasse bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhasse. Swakhato bhagavata dhammo sanditthiko akaliko ehi passiko opanayiko pacchattam veditabbo vinyuyiti. Dear Venerable Sister, Brothers and Dhamma friends, according to this Dasuththara Sutta, Venerable Sariputta is showing its great support of understanding the Dhamma. Sappurusa Sansevana, that means association with the true friend, and Saddhamma Savanam, the listening to the Dhamma, and then only you can go for Dhammanudhamma Patipatti, that means live according to Dhamma. Now we are in the second part, that is to listening to Dhamma, and we have taken the 6 qualities enumerated by Buddha on Dhamma. And Sanditthiko, Akaliko, Swakhato, Sanditthiko, Akaliko, Ehipassiko, Opanayiko, Pacchattam Veditabbo Vinyuyi. There's a very good detailed explanation in the Visuddhimagga about these 6 qualities, and it comes under the Dhammanupassana. That means meditation that is being called reflecting on the qualities of Dhamma. So it is being very famous. Before meditation, people has to do the preliminary work, Buddhanusati Mittacha Maranang Asubhassati, that you have to practice the recollection of the virtues of the Buddha and loving kindness meditation and reflecting on the death and the repulsivity of the body. That is the way you make your mindset. Before the meditation, it is being called Pubbha Kicca, that means preliminary preparation. And just like Buddhanusati, Dhammanusati also one another aspect, and they are the way the Visuddhimagga is explaining to give traditional interpretation for Swakkata, Sanditthika, Akalika, and it's paint a picture when you do your reflection on the Dhamma, your mind will be prepared for the meditation. It's a preliminary work, precursor. Or you may get a better life in the next, or you may reach the next Buddha. So always it is showing a gap, the meditating time and the results. So therefore we, the traditional Buddhists, understand that Dhammanusati is a kind of a merit-making thing. So people therefore either recite them or contemplate upon them and expect results to come. One thing is that your mind will be prepared for the Satipatthana or Vipassana, or you may accumulate merit, and so you will be a better life in the next. And under such circumstances, the term Akalika, that is the timelessness, immediacy, is lost. So within the Dhamma itself it says Swakkata, Sanditthiko, Akaliko. Akaliko is no time gap. As and when it happens, you get the results. The opposite of is Kalika. Kalika means once you fulfill your duties, you get the results after maturity, and that is called Vipaka. Vipaka means maturity. After you plant a tree, it has to grow and then only flowering happen and then the fruition can take place. So there's a gap up to its flowering and fruition, and during that gap only a religion can exist. But Dhamma, the true quality of Dhamma, there is no time gap. Soon you experience under your very nose, so much so, your virtues, your concentration, your wisdom arises. So therefore this Akalika, the term meaning, or the definition of the Akalika, presently we have to redefine when and where you are doing vipassana, when and where you are doing insight meditation, to understand how much we understand Dhamma then and there. Not to wait for the next life to happen, not to wait for the next Buddha to happen. So that's a kind of electric nature that we have lost in our traditional interpretation. That is because during the time of this interpretation, there should have certain amount of lapse in the practice. Due to the foreign invades and economical collapse and natural disasters, so therefore during the interpretation, they gave kind of a postponing kind of a interpretation to the term Akalika. But when you are practicing, at the beginning, that means the beginner's yogi, always have a meaning. When you meditate, one day you will become Sotapan. One day you will become Arahant. So therefore, there is no much of a immediate appreciation. There is no immediate under the nose experience, but still there is a kind of a expectation in future. Or besides your meditation, someone will come and invest or west kind of powers. That kind of Akalika Pada, the term meaning is being somewhat neutralized or somewhat reduced. That is true. When you are starting the meditation or when you are starting the mindfulness, you never understand, you are yet to understand its immediate effect. And that is why this Akalika term and Appamada, that is the diligence, has a kind of a relationship. At the beginning, so to say, the beginner, when and where he or she is observing the breath, they can only see already arisen breath and already became gross. Till that he or she can't perceive the breath, because mind is not sharp enough. Mind is not prepared. So that is well and good at the beginning. So whenever you report, you are reporting the middle part of the breath. Whenever you are reporting rising and falling maybe, you report the middle of the rising, middle of the falling, because you are yet to understand the beginning part, because your mind is not so subtle, not so refined, not so geared for that. So the Buddha says, okay, at the beginning, you understand Akalika nature in the middle of the breath, middle of the in-breath, middle of the out-breath, middle of the rising, middle of the falling. And more you practice, the Buddha says, whenever you are assured each and every in-breath you can keep in view with, each and every out-breath you can keep in view with, when and where that confirmation happen, just try to see from where does this breath is coming, in-breath coming, out-breath coming. Then you are not only see the breath, you see the breath with the beginning of the breath. So again, otherwise we can say, you are not only see the out-breath, you see the beginning of the out-breath. Not only you are observing and reporting about the in-breath, but you are observing as well as reporting the beginning of the out-breath as well as the middle of the out-breath. So that is what we call see the root cause of the in-breath and out-breath. So there you have to understand the stepwise development. At the beginning, some or the other you have to be face to face with the breath. In-breath versus out-breath. Once that is assured, once that is your mind is ready to keep the breath face to face, longer time with assurance, then only then you can take the task to see the beginning. And when and where you to see the mere arising part of the breath, it is just normal mindfulness is not enough. You must have the preparedness. You must understand now our breath is finished. So now you not only ready to see the growth in breath, but instead you are with a prepared mind to the arising in breath, and they are appamada, or not delayed, not negligence, is coming to being. So there you learn another art, how to see as and when the breath is arising. For example, when and where you see the sun already up on the sky at about 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock, you find it is hurting you and distracting you, you have to wear sunglasses. But if you have to see the sun in the 7 o'clock, 6 o'clock, 5 o'clock, 5 o'clock is impossible nowadays, and you see it is very mild. The sun is very pleasant. And if you wish to see the arising sun, one day you have to go and wait in the eastern coast, and there you may find, before the sunrise, there's a something phenomena called dawn. Dawn happens, and then only sunrise happens. So, because the precursor, dawn is the precursor, and then sunrise happens, and after the reason, sun is changing, the inflicting nature is changing, likewise the breath, when and where you see the middle and going to interpret, it is not that untruth, it's also the truth. But when and where you become appamada and to see the beginning of the breath and how does it develop up to the gross level, you can see the evolution part of the breath from beginning to the end. And there the beginning is utterly different qualities than the middle. And when and where you go to the beginning part, your akalika quality, then and there understanding and the immediacy of the observation or vigilance is increasing. There you find when it is arising, when the breath is arising, just like a dawn, there's a huge preparation. It's not, even though it is happening maybe 10,000 per day or number of 70, 80 breaths per minute maybe, but each and every time there's a preparation, and that preparatory part is completely different thing. That is almost like when you go to see tiny little particle under the microscope and the electron microscope. There you find the gross agglomerated tissue is different, but when you reduce to the bare minimum, shorter, small as possible, that completely different from the agglomerated shape. Exactly like when it is arising anything, you are the master, you can have fair control upon the situation. When it is arisen, you become a slave. So that is why the Buddha says, be akalika in one sense. Don't just be happy with the already arisen breath. Just see how it is arising. How immediately you can observe the in-breath. How immediately you can observe the out-breath. And when you have that kind of a very close, very immediate, very vigilant observation, you find how quickly this subtle breath become the gross. And if you are not observing, you won't see. When you observe, when you look, you can see. So that nearing to the object, immediate to the object, vigilance to the object is hidden in your brain system. Unless otherwise you mobilize it, you just say, I have seen the breath, but that is only you are reporting on the middle part of the breath. So therefore, to be akalika is a Dhamma quality, of course. But if you are to understand it, as and when it is arising, you have to be prepared. You have to be motivated for that. You must have early experience of observing the middle part of the breath. There should have someone to advise you. This is just one part of the phenomena. Just see the beginning. More and more you go to the immediacy, the beginning, and you find so much of changes. And when you are observing the very subtle beginning of the breath, your mindfulness becomes so sharp and mindfulness becomes so mobilized. Ultimately, the observing object and the observed object and the observing mind come so close, you can't see the difference between the in-breath and out-breath. They appear like energies, and you get so mobilized, energized, and ultimately observe difference disappears. When that happens only, if you are ready enough, if you invest enough, if you go prepared enough, when you go there, you understand when and where you really observe the breath, you are no more there. Self is no more there. The conceit is no more there. So that is the way you understand more and more, you become akalika, that immediate observation. That truth you never see by observing the middle part of the breath for longer time. So therefore, this is not mere contemplation of the qualities of Dhamma. This is something you have to do. When you are doing, your mind also evolve and understand the under the carpet phenomena, behind the screen phenomena, what is happening in the circuit, rather than observing the dashboard. And that observation is a kind of a challenge. No one is happy because they at the beginning they don't know they have such a potential. They don't know there is such a benefit. By looking, what is the benefit? So, if you understand the rationality behind that, you can put it in a pragmatic way. Imagine if you are a person with a short temper, quickly get angry. Once you become angry, you easily transgress social norms and ultimately you regret. If you have to see the beginning of the anger, just like the beginning of the breath, you must have preparedness. That preparedness you do with the materiality, and later you use it to the mentality, something like the anger or desire or sleepiness, and more you apply, you see, anger, if you wish to control, you must never wait till it come up to a gross level, then you succumb to the situation, you unbecoming, and your whole moral qualities will be lost, eroded. So therefore you have to go to the beginning of it. When and where you go to the beginning of the anger, you find there's a huge amount of controllability rather than already developed anger. So everyone in this audience or in the human society at large will be happy to control their anger or control their desire, erratic feelings, but they utterly fail because they are too late to understand the desire, to understand the anger. As far as you are too delayed, you are the slave for that anger. You are the anger become your master. The desire become your master. So the Buddha to be, he went on searching from where does the destructive emotions are happening. So it took so much of time for him to understand. We understand destructive emotions once they come into the form, once they become mature enough. So preparedness to see the beginning of the destructive emotions is never tried by humankind before the Buddha. So what he did was at the beginning see the materiality, the beginning, the middle and the end, and ultimately see the beginning, the middle and the end of the mentality. And there you find, unless otherwise you see the beginning of the anger, beginning of the desire, beginning of the sleepiness or ignorance, you will never interpret terms. And one day, one person mentioned, in karate, in the martial arts, you just divert the kick as and when it arises. Otherwise it gets momentum, you can't divert it. So when and where the kick is starting, if you divert, you are the winner. So therefore, fighting is not something energy, it's a wisdom. When and where the against kick is happening, you have to divert it. Therefore, akalika term, you can really understand when and where you see the beginning of the phenomena, the beginning of the materiality, beginning of the mentality. So it is never being taught in the classrooms. No research papers, no universities, no faculties, no professors, no teachers. Everyone exploit you once you become delayed, once you become negligent, and then they will come and say, if that disease, take this medicine. That's called therapy. But they never teach the prevention. The Buddha, he do both. He says, as far as the disease is threatening and pressure, with the high pressure, or demanding, then you have to treat the symptoms and do healing and therapy. But that does not give the answer. So you have to go to the root and see how to prevent. So more and more you practice Dhamma, it is not Dhammanupassana for the future merits. It is not the Dhammanupassana to make the mind set for the Vipassana meditation. This is utter Vipassana. When you are practicing Vipassana, more and more you observe the phenomena as and when it arises. It is completely different from already arisen phenomena. So it is happening within that. It is happening so quickly, so virulent way. Your normal rationality, your normal thinking never understand answer is lying on this observation of the beginning. So this is also part and parcel of the akalika. When you delay, your results will be very, very delayed. If you can stop the infection as and when it arises, results are then and there. Therefore, all the medical scientists, they know any disease you can prevent from hot water and the salt water if you can catch it early in the beginning. Everything become potential, high potential, the allopathic medicine because you bloody fool get delayed. You fail to understand the as and when the disease arises. When the as and when the disease arises, it is what you call the prevention, then there is no necessity for health science. Present day business is not necessary. We delayed. Ultimately we succumb to this pharmaceutical industry, this so-called paramedicals, hospitals, everything to exploit your ignorance. So Buddha, Satahata Vana Bhava Dukata Vedana. He is not just a medical practitioner for your diseases. He is the disease, he is a healer or a medical practitioner for the existential diseases. Bhavadukata Vedanan. So he says, if you wish to see the beginning. See before delay, before gather the momentum. And Buddha is the only person knows the way how to go back to the source. And Buddha is the only person knows if you go to the source, you are the winner. If you are pamada, diligent and not diligent, negligent, the situation becomes incurable. Or take time. Understand the disease and the medicine and the cure will be the time. But if you can catch it at the earlier as possible, only the hot water and salt water can answer any disease on the earth. So therefore, when and we are practicing, if you think, when can I become Nibbana, when can I attain the Nibbana, and what are the benefits of this insight meditation, what are the benefits of mindfulness, these are just theoretical idiot questions. When and where are you mindful? You know you are mindful. As far as you are mindful, there is no raga, there is no dosha, there is moha. At that very moment, for example, when and where you see at least the middle of the in-breath, middle of the out-breath, and if you know this is the middle of in-breath and middle of the out-breath, at that moment there is no chances for the desire to arise. There is no chances for hatred to arise. There is no chances for the ignorance to arise. But if you are failing to understand, it is called Kalika. If you are not failing to understand, if you can verify then and there, as far as mind is mindful on whatever the object arising, at that moment there is no great defilements happening. How can I continue this thought moment of mindfulness continuously? Then only then you can see the beginning of the phenomena. There you become more and more diligent. More and more diligent means when and where you become immediate with the arising part of the phenomena, you see completely different thing. The same thing, Pandita Sayadaw presented in a different way, you can easily attribute it to the term meaning of the Akalika. When you see an ant line, or maybe white ants or any ants, at the dusk, if you look at from a distance and in a careless way, you may see this as a thread, or you may see it as a root, or you may misunderstand as a serpent. But if you're lucky enough, if you go closer, you may understand there is no serpent there, and there is no thread there, or rope, or there is no root, but there is a kind of movements are there. And if you still go further, you may see ant after ant is running, but there is no consistent serpent. There is no root. There is no rope. Because of your immediate observation, you find ant after ant is running at a distance, one conclusion. Halfway observation, another inference. When you go very close, completely different. So, when and you become immediate with the object, or diligent with the object, vigilant with the object, then only you can see the object as and when it arises, only you can see the object in its true nature, fast changing. So the Sayadaw used to say, hit the iron when it is heated. Don't let it cool down, then iron will get cracked. So early days or beginners days, you are not qualified to see the early arising part of the object. So it is after the observing the middle, then only you can go to the beginning. And when and where you see the beginning and the end, that is what you call Paccaya Pariggaha Jnana. That is complete understanding of the cause and effect happens. You understand whenever you see the beginning and the middle. So once that happens, you will end out with the third aspect, beginning, the middle and the end. That is the Nibbana, or that is the Nirodha, that is the part you are leading. So at the beginning you are not talking about that. You are being asked to see the each and every in-breath and out-breath. And when and where you familiarize, go to the beginning. And when and where you see the beginning plus in-breath, middle, beginning plus the out-breath, middle, then the different story. And that is being called diligence. That is being called vigilance. And when and where you see the vigilantly, diligently under your very nose, results of your mindfulness, results of your insight is sakalika. Then and there you find, you see, my faculties are so refined. I am not just be happy just by seeing the face value of the object. I try to see very closely. That is repetitive application. That is called anupassana. Again and again observing the same. That's almost synonym for the vipassana. In our day-to-day life, in the sensuous world, we change the object. We change from seeing to hearing, hearing to smelling, smelling to taste. And ultimately, if you keep book or bookkeeping, you don't know from morning to evening, changing from eye to ear to the nose to the tongue to the body to the mind, what is the agenda? Not a single one on the earth have any agenda. It is such a fast going there, so you have no chances to observe one object repetitively, not to talk about the beginning. So therefore, more and more you practice Dhamma, that means hearing Dhamma and keeping in your mind and practice, you are bound to see immediate arising of the part. There only akalika Dhamma become very, very vigilant, very, very vivid, very, very mobilized. So those who have seen it definitely get attracted to Dhamma, because he or she observe these truths without the binoculars, without microscope, without telescope. Only by sharpening of your faculties. And then the Buddha says, you have this potential, it's a birthright, but if you are changing the object with the superficial value one to the other, when you are in a carnival or when you are in the parties, you will never see the truth. And ultimately at the deathbed, you are to suffer. So therefore, akalika Dhamma is not talking about kalika results. The religious people only promise you kalika results. I will give results later. Oh, God will come later. And you will go to the heaven after the death. And that's exactly the same thing the Buddhists also tell. That is what you call Buddhism. When you become akalika, when and where you observe the in-breath and out-breath, it's exactly what the Buddha is observing. How the Venerable Sariputta is observing. There's nothing preventing. So you have your right to go to the beginning and see how it comes to the middle. There you find there's nothing prevent you to enlighten yourself here and now. So for my understanding, only the lacking thing is your appreciation. You don't have confidence. So it is also not accusable, punishable, the mistake. This is what does it call by the ignorance. You practice, but you don't have the faith. So more and more you practice, repetitive practice only, these faculties are become sharper. Ultimately you understand the end of the object, middle of the object and the beginning of the object is so fast, it is changing. When and where you to see immediately, you see akalika Dhamma. Dhamma, it's working with the universal law, irrespective of the male, female, irrespective of whether you are rich or poor, ordained or non-ordained, even the Buddhist or non-Buddhist. The teaching is such. So therefore, instead of contemplating of the qualities of Dhamma, if you be mindful and be immediate with your in-breath and out-breath, be immediate with your rising and falling, be immediate with your left leg and right leg, the way you cut through to the beginning, as and when it arises, then you can call Eva Balava, Ehi Passika, you can call your dear and near one says, whoever may be, try to see the object in such an immediate way, there's nothing, no two things, exactly the same. So if you wish to see Buddha, please look at Dhamma. Whenever you see Dhamma, you see the Buddha. Of course, we have this Buddha made out of bricks, made out of concrete. So, understanding that one foreigner, I can't exactly remember, it is bigger the statue of the Buddha, less and less the qualities of Dhamma. Now you are going to give the biggest Buddha statue. You won't believe, recently when I was in Colombo, one very devoted monk, he made the Urna Roma, there's a very hairpin, just like a balance staff in the clock. There's a Urna Roma of the Buddha. So he is contributing a statue of Buddha. Urna Roma itself is like a clock. He asked me, Bhante, please say sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. It is going to and fix into the Buddha. It's such a big one. Even the Urna Roma itself is so much, it's made out of gold. And in the center you have a jewel. Of course I say sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Then I told, bigger the Buddha, Dhamma eroded. So this Akalika is a very, in a way it's a irony, how they explain it, how much they made the Buddhism Kalika, telling if you give this much, next life you get that much. They say, just observe as and when the in-breath and out-breath arises, that is the way Buddha is observing. That's the way Venerable Sariputta is. They never say like that, because if it is so, they can't make a religion. So therefore, when you are practicing, immediately or diligently or vigilantly, don't expect it is to happen overnight. Your early mistakes to be reinterpreted again, listening to Dhamma, apply the mind again and again, then slowly, if you can see, you manage to see the arising part of the anger, the arising part of the desire, the arising part of the sleepiness, the arising part of the in-breath, the arising part of the out-breath. It's a clear indication you are bound to see the cessation part of the in-breath, the cessation part of the out-breath, the cessation part of the anger, the cessation part of the desire, the cessation part of the sleepiness or ignorance can happen. So therefore, whenever we are in a residential retreat like this, first day, second day, third day, don't expect that much of magics. You just follow the timetable. You just try to keep the in-breath and out-breath as much as possible, and due to a sincere effort, one day you will see either breath or the rising and falling. Or your posture, you can keep longer time. Keep face-to-face longer time. And when that is happening, you have to understand now this is the green light. So now see the appearing part of the object, arising part of the object, arising part of the in-breath and out-breath. And before that, before you familiarize your object, before you make the face-to-face with the object, don't try to see the beginning, the middle and the end. It is immature. So when and where it is face-to-face, now you have to understand, you have to go for the second gear. Second gear means see the beginning and the middle. And then the third gear, beginning, the middle and the end. That is what you call the diligence. And it is not happening overnight. But lucky thing is, once you learn the art, once you develop the skill, it has a lingering effect. Third day, fourth day onward, easily you can go to the object and see the beginning, the middle and the end. And then, that is the materiality. Then slowly, when you are observing, you see the leg pain, you see the boredom, you see lethargic nature. So don't consider this as an enemy, so antagonizing yourself. Now you have to understand through that materiality that you observe, it's a bell-shaped curve, whatever may be, and see the beginning of the boredom. See the anger when it is arising. And there you see, whether it's a materiality or mentality, the graph is exactly the same. You start with the materiality and then you apply to the mentality, and when and where you master, when and where you season your emotions, it is exactly same with your fellow meditator. Emotions have no sex, no difference. It's exactly work. So therefore, when and where you understand your emotion, you can easily understand your neighbor. You can understand the fellow meditators. So therefore, don't expect this as a personal endeavorance, but understanding through this emotional, destructive or constructive, you understand the human mind. So, more and more you go to the materiality, to the mentality, akalika nature is increasing. And there you feel like inviting others. Please, you may be a very expert in physics, chemistry, zoology, or whatever the field. Why don't you come and see the beginning of the in-breath? Why don't you come and see the beginning of the out-breath? So they can't understand. Then they will ask, what is the benefit we are going to get by looking at the benefit of the beginning of the in-breath and out? Then we have to say the Nibbana is a big, huge lump. If you will get it, please come and see. So he is looking always, what is this big lump called Nibbana? So they are lullabying. So lullaby the child to get sleep. But akalika is no lullaby. So you have to understand, when and where object become face to face, just see immediately. More and more you see Dhamma is what a mobilized thing, what a dynamic thing, what a diligent thing, what a vigilant thing, and you think it is not belongs to the time dimension. That's the meaning of akalika. Dhamma never belongs to time dimension. It is only in the Buddha time. Now it is not there. Or it will be highlighted again in the next Buddha time. These are the cock and bull stories. Buddha never mentioned such a thing. Dhamma is akalika. If you know how to look at the object very immediately, that also I put within the parenthesis, when and where the time permits, then you see it is so quickly happening, and you feel like telling others, please take time. Do this experiment. First and foremost, try to familiarize your primary object with your common sense. And once it is familiarized, once it is face to face, just look very immediately. As and when it arises, there you see, nothing prevent your observation if you go prepared. That preparedness is never we are born with. But the potential is equally among us. So when you are practicing, the religious masters and other people come and say, when you are practicing, you may get this and that. They are all lullabies. They are all epithets. They are all examples. But what you observe is, immediately when you are observing, it is a universal law. That is the way the Buddha is observing. And then you can see the transient nature, nothing to experiment. It's so quickly changing. So therefore, when and where you see immediately, the transient nature, the evolution, metamorphosis, can't help but you have to see it. And if it is so quickly changing, is it worth holding it? Can you hold it? So when whatever you are holding is permanent notion or suffering, uncontrollable, ungovernable, so that understanding of the ungovernability of the phenomena is a failure or a success. Good omen or a bad omen. Religious people consider as a bad omen, but the Buddha is telling that is the thing you have to understand. That's a good omen. When and you see the object, you see there is no agenda. My mind sometimes go to the seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, touching. I have no say. It is changing. So, under such circumstances, the Buddha says, take one object at a time and see akalika, immediacy, and then if you look, if you fail to understand, if you are negligent, it will become kalika. If you are to see the as and when it is arising, akalika nature is happening, it is so thrilling. Frills and thrills happen when you observe it. So sometimes maybe it is a contagious disease. If someone is really meditating, other people is being attracted to that. And that particular person also feel like, hey, Pasika, please come and see. What are you looking at? You are looking at the changing objects. You are looking at the superficial, face value. Instead, look at it. So therefore, this Pasika is a challenge. It's an invite. So instead of superficial observation, just see one object at a time and see immediately. And then you find only the human being, directed human being, advised human being, prepared human being can do it. But other human being never this particular person as a human. They consider this an unsocial being. He is doing experiment in the forest or solitude. They are escaping. So therefore they don't appear like a self, the socialized. So therefore we happy to be in the society and just only see the taste, the superficial value. Ultimately, from the Buddha's point of view, you are utterly wasting your time. So instead if you see, and then you can understand why Buddha is, it is not called by Buddha, don't get misunderstood, it's a Dhamma. Dhamma itself is telling, Ehipassika, come and see. And that is the way the scientists, they say, if someone can see, it is to be scientific, another person also must see the same, then only it becomes scientific. Same thing be repeatable, then only it becomes scientific. This is the science. This is the way Buddha says, the way I see the transient nature, you also can see if you can observe diligently, vigilantly, then akalika, then you can invite other people. The difference between the way the Buddha explained and the present day is, the modern science is looking outwardly. Looking hydrogen, helium, all the kind of things. But the Buddha is inward looking, that's called insight. Methodology is exactly the same. So therefore, if the scientists wish to understand, if they have the preparedness, easily you can use the teaching techniques. Exact the reductionism is there, repeatability is there. Any person can observe, but why don't you take something experienceable, existentialism, the in-breath and out-breath, be here and now, left leg and the right leg, rather than observing copper, silver, iron, all the kind of thing. So this forward gear and the backward gear. But even then the Buddha, he says, when and where you practice Satipatthana, and when and where you become skillful in breath and out breath, he says, iti ajjattang va kaye kayanupassī vihirati, iti bahiddha va kaye kayanupassī vihirati, ajjatta bahiddha va kaye kayanupassī vihirati. When and where you see my breath, if I observe immediately, it's a different thing. If I observe delayed, negligent, neglected, different thing. Then it is kalika become. If you observe immediately, become akalika. So how the other person? If he is not observed very closely, very vigilantly, of course he will see something like kalika, time gap is there. He is taken for the time machine. But when you have become akalika, you can go tit to tat with the time. And that is why the Buddha says, Arahant is known as Kala Kanni. One term given for the Arahant is Kala Kanni, because he is going tit to tat with the time. He never let the time to go faster. We call Kalakanni for the Annaran people. But the Buddha says Kalakanni is the Kalo Gasati Bhutahani. So for that you have to learn the Akalika fighting, Akalika way of application of your energy, mindfulness, and then you feel like sharing with others, Ehipassika. So Ehipassika make the Buddhism kind of a scientific. Any person come and check it. But definitely whenever he comes or she comes, he says, where you find this kind of immediacy, where do you find this kind of a transient nature, where do you find any kind of this suffering nature? He says, okay, just wait and let me know what you see, what you experience in your observation. And through that only you have to say, this may be your pivotal point, this may be your reference point, take that point and try to see the beginning immediately, then and there. And there only you find another path. It is called fourth path. Not the writing, reading, arithmetic, but it's the reality. It's go inside. When it is happening, you never get any fame, gain or money or nothing. But you understand who am I. You understand the present moment. And it is generally known as religious, known as spiritual, but just by contemplating the qualities of the Buddha, qualities of Dhamma, Sangha, by reciting, you understand you're never going to get this taste. You have to practice it. Practicing means not the recitation of the Swakato, Bhagavato, Dhammo, Sanditiko, Akaliko, Ehipassiko, Opanayiko, Pacchattam, Vehitabbo. Whatever the pivotal point, whatever the reference point, whatever your main object, try to see as and when it is arising. So much so it is become immediate. So much so you get charged. You get energized. And ultimately you feel like sharing with others. And that is how 45 years Buddha was walking maybe 12 to 15 kilometers daily. More than 18 hours daily. Even not with wearing slippers. He did it because he believed if you can present in a proper way, people will understand it. But unfortunate enough, of course, we may be little delayed to come here on 2600 years later. But the way it is interpreting, way it is teaching in the universities, way it is written on the books, and way it is people are giving the lectures appear very, very shameful when you observe, when you practice meditation. But I am not asking anyone to contradict these theoreticians, not to contradict these academic people. Let them have it. They wanted to have the Buddhism Kalika, the future result. But the Buddha is telling Akalika, here and now. So that is why when Venerable Samidhi is a very robust young man, beautiful young man, after taking a bath, the Maha comes and says, hey, why you are foregoing this then and there pleasure? And what are you searching about? First, why don't you go for this sensuous pleasure and then come to the Kalika? Then he says, no, I am not worrying about something late. I am worrying about here and now. That is what you call Akalika. And for that, I can forego all the sensuous pleasure. So therefore, don't worry. The sensuous pleasure is Buddha known as Kalika, is full of disadvantages, full of suffering, full of maintenance. But this Akalika, it is, you get rejuvenated, you get recharged. So therefore, I have foregone the sense pleasure in order Sandittika Akalika. So this is a very clear indication how you make a religion out of Dhamma. The very first day when I learned it in 1979, it was Mr. Bogata Premadasa. He gave a talk and I was a gate crash. I just went there and giving a talk to the mobile university. And I listened. He told there are two kinds of Buddhism, the popular Buddhism and then Buddha Dhamma. The people like you traveling in mobile university, you will never see Buddha Dhamma. You only see popular Buddhism. Just like when you go to the Kandy and see Asala Perahara, you see a lot of elephants. But you have to understand they are tamed elephants. If you wish to go to the elephants in the wilderness, you have to go to Lahukala. It is little dangerous. So when you go to the Perahara and say, I have seen elephants. Yes, you have seen. It's a tamed elephant. If you wish to go, and then I ask Venerable Dhammika, what does it mean by this popular Buddhism and the Dhamma? He says, don't worry about, you keep on practice. And this is the way people make business out of Buddhism. And usually we call business Buddhism in America. No, it is in Sri Lanka. It is with you. You people are the people supporting it because you never believe Dhamma is akalika. Dhamma is ehipassika. Expect Nibbana, expect merits, expect that this is for the next day efficiency. At the beginning it is yes. But when and where you become familiar, when and where you learn the art of mindfulness, efficiency of mindfulness, together with clear comprehension, your main aim is to be with the object immediately. Hit it when the iron is hot. Don't wait till it cool and then crack. So therefore it is not the mistake of the instruction, because you are not applying the instruction in the proper way. Panchasayadaw used to say, when and where you find a very challenging disease, the doctor will give a very high potent medicine, and definitely he will say, you have to take this dose in such intervals. So, hoping that you have a long trip, if you are going to take the whole medicine in a one lot, thinking that you don't have time to take dosage-wise, then what is going to happen? Is it the medicine of medical science or the doctor kind of thing? No, you don't read the instructions. We are high potent medicine. So likewise, the mindfulness also high potent thing, but at the beginning very slack, at a far away. When and where it become akalika, when and where you try to see the object as immediately as possible, your whole trial and error method, whole ways and means you have to apply there, and that application, no one can help you. Even the Buddha can't help. Even the Dhamma can't help. Only your correct perspective, and go prepared and make use your whole past mistakes and the ways and means, and day by day you see as and when the object arises, and when it is happening, later you may understand as and when you see the early part of the object, undefiled part of the object, your mind also goes to the undefiled form. So as the object evolves, your mind also evolves. The evolution of the object reflects the evolution of your mind. But you to understand it take long time. Therefore the Buddha says, don't worry, just focus on the observed object and see the changes, how quickly it is changing, when and where you see it's accelerating, when and where you see it is gathering the momentum, see now your mind also, in the same token, mind also under the evolution, and then only ultimately when both of them are rotating in the same vibration, same RPM, they can come together. Then only you can see there is no difference between the object and the observed mind. That means no time gap, no space. That is called time-space. According to the Einstein, the Buddha mentioned Kshana Sampatti. That is called Kshana Sampatti. You never lose even a split second, thin slicing of time, go in tally with the time machine, ultimately you are go almost like. And that is the akalika. When it is happening, results then and there. Whenever Jnanananda used to say, whenever you are writing an exam, there's a pending time for the results to happen. So you may be expecting results. But in the Nibbana exam, then and there results. And when the then and there results happen, no religious notion can take place. Whenever there's a gap, then not the religious masters, religious sects, and religious business can take place. So don't let people to come and keep the leg inside. Just understand, if I delay, religious people will exploit me. If I am diligent, more and more with the object, even the Buddha will say, I also can't help, you have to do it. So when and where you do, only thing you understand is, even after this so much of time, Dhamma is very vivid. It's very living. And when it is living, two ways. One thing, you get addicted into that. Definitely you will get addicted. So I would say, insight meditation or mindfulness is the biggest addiction on the earth. So when the people come to the Nissarana, they wanted to come again and again, and we give nothing. We just say, go and walk and come and sit. But they wish, because they sometimes understand this akhalika nature, more and more you to the object, you become evolved, and you won't get through any other materialistic kind of a richness. This is there. So don't let it be confined to you. Understand it immediately. Let your personality trace to evolve, and then see others also, share it others also with. That is why the Buddha reduced all the qualities into Dhamma into 6. And Swakkata is leading to Sanditthika. So proclaimed, in the nicely proclaimed Sanditthika, you have to look under your very nose. When and where you see Sanditthiko Akhaliko, you see that the observation is immediate, no time taking. Then only you can tell other person, this is the way I practice, please come and see. If someone is not doing and still going to propagate Dhamma, that's quite dangerous. That's quite dangerous, and there's no way to verify also. But if you are really mindful, you can understand whether they are talking about concept or reality. If an experienced person, you can feel it is something closer to the reality. Other people talking with the concepts. So Pandita Sadhu used to say, these conceptual orators give a talk in such a way, even the rock statues will say yes, yes, they will shake the head. This is the way present day agenda. This is the way present day convention. So therefore don't get carried away, just see the object, just see the mindfulness, see how immediate it is. It is also not the overnight skill, and you have to do again and again. If you feel you are more and more closer to the source of the object, source of the phenomena, be patient. Just let it go there, and ultimately you will see more and more. You see the object in a diligent way, vigilant way. The kind of a vibration emitting from you is called good vibes. And there are some people making a theory. They say, due to them only, those who are really genuine, innocent practitioners, the global warming is somewhat controlled. The world war never burst. And environmental pollution calm down, and you won't believe so much of people are destroying the earth, but only 1 or 2 practicing. How that happened? But the Buddha, he mentioned the developed mind, trained mind can do marvels. They do only beneficial thing. So therefore, when and where you are mindful in 1 split second, you are contributing to the global, not to the global warming, cooling. You are not contributing to the pollution, you are purifying. You as well as the environment. So therefore, don't think a thought moment of mindfulness is trivial. It's very important. That is the what gathering the momentum. When it is gathering, you will become a silent servant. So that is how Dhamma, working in a chain action, one to the other. So at the beginning what I mentioned was, don't try to make a business out of that. Don't think that by contemplating Dhamma you will get a better life in future. Of course you will. But that is not the immediate object of the Buddha. Buddha said, don't postpone to the next life. It is in this very life. So therefore, more and more you practice, you becoming akalika, and without kalika, without falling into the time gap, you see. And that is what you call living Dhamma. So Mahasi Sayadaw used to say, Dhamma is living only on the heart of the practitioner. Practicing of what? Moral restraint, concentration restraint, and the wisdom restraint. Don't expect it is lying in the biggest Buddha statue or biggest Cheti or going to India. No, it is in your heart. So if you can foster it, you as well as the society at large definitely going to get the benefit. So therefore Dhamma, don't let entertain the time gap. When and where it is become here and now, that is the word meaning of akalika and ehipassika. Then only you can show others with the results to be an example for this kind of Dhamma qualities, and your security and your understanding and the final aim, so-called Nibbana, is not far away. With that remark, I would like to sum up the talk today. Thank you very much for attentive listening.